weekly pandemic open mic Monday, and we're broadcasting on the Facebook pages of KBOO Community Radio and Popular Resistance, as well as my own platforms, David Rovick's platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, VK, Twitch, LinkedIn, and as well on the Song News Network's Facebook page. If I remember to add that to the list of things, which I hope I did. Just realizing I might not have, but well, who knows? Let's see. In any case, we're broadcasting on a lot of different places, and oh yeah, we're there on the Song News Network, and these are all archived as well on in podcast form on YouTube as well, and on podcast form. And folks have been signing up, and I see from Tony Harper. Yes, Tony, you're in the list there, and we got a whole bunch of wonderful musicians from both sides of the Atlantic in the queue. And if you're one of the folks who signed up, then you should have received an email with the link to the StreamYard green room, the virtual green room, which has which actually behaves kind of like an actual virtual green room, real green room, because there's like people in it and they can have a chat with each other, and that other people can't see. So it is, and yeah, the internet is a fascinating place. One of the exciting things about the internet is that it's global. So we have lots of participants from all over the world on this open mic, although they tend to be generally from North America and Northwestern Europe for various reasons having to do with who I know and what language we all speak. And where we're broadcasting as well. And today is the last Monday of the month of May, the last Monday before rent is once again due for many people who are going to be unable to pay it or unwilling to pay it. There's been changes I've noticed in the general mainstream reporting on these things on national public radio in the U.S. here. They're not quite talking about the rent strikes quite so much as they used to, and they are changing the way they're sort of presenting things. I don't know what conversations are going on in the editing rooms or how these things work, or they're on NPR, but just today or yesterday they mentioned that 91% of people in the U.S. either paid their rent partially or in full, which is a bit different from saying, that like 9% didn't pay any, and what is the percentage that paid very little? That's not mentioned. So yeah, they're changing the way of reporting these things. But I'm not paying rent once again this month. We are not paying rent here in this apartment owned by the Randall Group Corporation, evil slumlord corporation that it is. But this continues here in Portland and in many other cities and countries as well, although in many countries they've suspended rents and deferred mortgages, which is not happening in the US. But I've been started up a website for artistsforrentcontrol.org, and you can check that out if you want to see some of the resources we're working on and some of the projects we're working on in that regard. And I thought I would start out with a little poem I wrote to my landlord in lieu of paying the rent for June. I sent a poem which I'm sure is worth at least the cost of rent. Actually, it's probably a good enough poem we should be able to buy the building with it in a just society, but who knows? In any case, I will do this poem, which is my own intro, and then I'll be letting folks know who are in the queue in the private chat room. I'll be letting you know what your order is, and because this way it's nicely mysterious for the general public, But there's still room in the queue if you got an email with the link and you want to get in the virtual green room, then click that link. And if you do happen to at some point get a notification saying the green room is full, or that there's no room in the queue for you, then just try again 10 minutes later, because as people perform, then they leave the green room and then there's room for more people to come in. But at the moment there are fewer than 10 people waiting, so there's still room for more. And but we're going to start out with Stephen McRandall, a fantastic writer who from Ireland originally, who you will be familiar with if you've been at all a regular viewer, listener of this open mic. But if this is your first time, then you're in for a whole bunch of treats. The quality of the open mic has been very high in terms of the participants. Not to make anybody nervous, but I already know it's going to be a really good one. But anyway, here's my contribution to the open mic, my letter to the Randall Group that I actually sent to my landlord. Why not send them things that rhyme? Why should announcements of your inability and unwillingness to pay the rent not rhyme? I don't see any point in that. So I believe it will qualify to for what it's supposed to be doing. You have to write them legally when you're not paying the rent under the new regulations that the county passed in the pandemic. Dear landlord, I wrote a letter to the Randall Group to enumerate their crimes. This time, I made sure the letter rhymes. It'll soon be the first of the month, so we thought we'd write you a letter. Not that you asked, but all of us struck by the virus are starting to feel better. We thought we should let you know once again why the time we've spent has still not included writing any checks for the rent. I doubt you're even reading this, I'm not going to lie. But just in case you are, here are some of the reasons why we'd rather keep our money instead of giving it away to your rich investors come whatever may. Because you don't need the money. In fact, you guys are such toffs, you have to donate millions just to get a tax write-off. In your magnanimity, all the millions to charity you stole from all your renters. What fucking barbarity. Because in case you didn't realize, your renters have been moving out. Every time you raise the rent, let there be no doubt. You're making people homeless, forcing kids to live in cars, while you and your investors go to galleries and wine bars. Because you brag of your philanthropy, while your tenants drown in debt. Because I'm not exactly sure how much more fucked up things can get. Because you actually raised the rent in the midst of a pandemic. Because over the years, you've made sure the problem is systemic. Because you and your corporate lobbyists with Multifamily Northwest have lobbied all the legislatures to make sure conditions are the best for you to underpay your workers, while with each passing year, you've made it ever more impossible for them to even live near here. Because there's asbestos in the ceilings and mold upon the walls. Because this carpet is fucking ancient, and that's definitely not all. Because you own hundreds of buildings up and down the coast. Because corporations like yours are getting bailed out the most. Because you keep reminding us of the money you say we owe in the middle of a new Great Depression as bad as 90 years ago. Because the government is paralyzed, no one's answering their phones. They say they'll send us assistance, but there's just a dial tone. Because the suspension on evictions goes till the end of June, and there are lots of our fellow renters singing the same tune. Because you, Randall Group, are slumlords, and at the end of the day, something has to give. Things can't go on this way. So I'll just say, in conclusion, this is a lovely spot for a post-eviction future when it becomes our squat. But until that happens, we can be reasonable. In fact, we'll consider paying half the rent if you send us a new rental contract. That's my poem for the landlord. And now, ladies and gentlemen, our first performer of the open mic, other than the host, is Stephen McRandall. Wonderful to have you back. How are
Thanks
you?
a lot. Great poem. And thanks a lot for having us back.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. What's been happening the past week? Any dramatic developments on your side of the pond?
Not at all. Very, very quiet. I mean, nothing happens at all. I don't do a lot anyway. You know what I mean? With the pandemic, I don't. There's not even coffee shops or
Yeah, I know.
people to stop evictions.
Yeah, right.
Which would be my social life, probably.
Your social life. That's a darn good social life. Excellent, excellent social life. What you got for us today, Stephen?
A story from a short story from England in the late 1970s.
Fantastic.
It's called "Talked About in High Places."
Fantastic.
So here we go. talked about in high places. Cloaked in a light drizzle, the huge erect chimneys of the Lancashire mills looked like relics from another era. Manus had actually worked in one of the mills. It had been an old mill that hadn't got the space to accommodate the machines used to clean the looms. So Manus used to crawl underneath the looms with a brush and remove the fine dust that would otherwise clog up the machinery. It reminded him of sending kids to clean up chimneys. Anyway, he wasn't distraught that he no longer worked there. He was glad to be able to lie in bed and look out at the grey drizzle. His wife lay beside him. She was a bit of a Jap, Jewish American princess, laying with him, unemployed Irish labourer. Their bed was just a mattress on the floor. Today was their patron saint's day, St. Jarrow. A jarrow was a welfare payment. He went to the toilet before going downstairs to check the mail, in case the arrival or non-arrival of his mail should cause him to be upset and constipated. St. Jarrow was not always as reliable as he should be. Often he was late, and always there was an element of chance involved. While sitting on the toilet bowl, he let his mind wander to the possibilities of escape. He had sent a story or an account of his stay in the Crumlin Road prison off to a posh magazine, and to the amazement of the heavens, they had written back. With some editing, publication is possible. They had actually written back and said that to him. They'd gone on to ask for some of his general background and antecedents. He looked the word antecedents up in the dictionary and found out that it meant what has gone before. He had been flattered that they had written back to him, but hadn't known what to answer. I started taking drugs when I was very young, was the only general background and antecedents he could think of offhand. So he wrote that and sent it back. It had been 2 weeks since he had sent the letter, and every day he tried not to look for their second correspondence. He tried not to hope that he could get it paid and published, but sitting there in the bowl, his mind ran on. Toilet finished, he trod downstairs that were uncarpeted and ugly. From the living room, he could see through the glass porch door, the empty space where his letters should be. He went into the porch to double check. He looked at the letterbox. No big white envelope from the magazine. No recognition. No small brown envelope. No food money. Now he had the loathsome job of telling her. With a heavy heart and empty belly, he trod back upstairs. No dole money. She sat up on the mattress. What do you mean? No fucking dole money. What do you think I mean? Shit this. Her disgust with the situation reflected contempt for him. We need to eat. I fucking know. Oh, fuck off. She cowered as his foot lashed out towards her, missing by inches only, and connecting with the wall. At the back door, he stopped, wishing he could go back to her, explain that he was sorry. It wasn't his fault. It was a recession. He had no control over the situation. From the bedroom, she shouted down, "You useless jerk!" And he slammed the door as he left. He borrowed money off Brian and Louise, friends better versed in home economics, and phoned up the dole. The woman at the dole kept him waiting on the phone for ages, the phone box eating up his precious borrowed money. From his pocket, he took out the letter he had received from the magazine. He reread it like some kind of security blanket. When someone else at the dole office asked his name, he wanted to tell him, "Look, you're not just dealing with some unemployed bum. I might get something published." Eventually, the woman at the dole told him his jarrow was in the post, and Manus was left standing in a phone box, which stank of piss. The door wouldn't close properly either, so the lorries on the road outside hurtled past noisily. The magazine had written back to him. It felt so far removed from his situation that he doubted its validity. Impulsively, he dialed the number at the top of the letter. "Respectable English magazine, how may I help you?" He clipped the voice. With no prepared response, he blathered back. I sent an article in and they wrote back saying they were interested, and I was just wondering what was happening." "What's your name, please?" "Manus McManus." The next voice he spoke to was softer and posher than the receptionist's. The phone box swallowed some more of his coins, and she asked for his number that she might phone him back. They were both a little embarrassed with this scenario. She tried to put him at ease. Mr. McManus, I am sorry about that. It was always her fault. He was too untogether and poor to be able to afford his own phone. Still, at least she wasn't being snotty with him. She laughed a little. He laughed a little back. The editor was unavailable at the moment, but she would like to say what a remarkable piece of street journalism he had written. It wasn't that she talked down to him. It was just that she was in such a different place. The plush office, carpeted floor, double glazed windows with piped heating. You could almost smell her perfume, feel her soft woolen jumper, see the way she had her legs crossed. A heavy lorry rolled past noisily outside, wafting in exhaust fumes with the smell of urine. She gave him her laugh again, but this time he didn't laugh back. He wasn't sure what she was laughing at. Him? What was he even doing talking to them? In a way, he was just looking for confirmation that they were considering his piece, and he had that. If they wanted to use his stuff, they would surely let him know, and if they didn't, he should just leave it. I'd tell him cheers anyway. Manus threw at her laughter. That seemed to throw her a little. He could feel her stall, her self-confidence faltered, her control of the situation wavered. Excuse me? Tell him cheers anyway, he said, again, and hung up the phone. Outside the phone box, the lorries rolled past. He felt kind of good as he walked home. A ray of sunshine penetrated through the grey clouds, catching the drizzling rain, made it sparkle for a moment. And he smiled at the thought that his name might be mentioned in a plush office. That's it for the short story.
Wonderful, as always. Thank you so much, Stephen.
Thanks, Rod. Hope the stories don't, the character's not always the best of characters, you know what I mean? He's just, he doesn't always do good things, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very human. A lot like humanity. The best stories reflect what's really going on. There's so many levels to the characters. It's fantastic. We'll see you again soon, I hope.
Yeah, anytime you want us here, I'll be there.
Next week. Excellent. Great. See you soon.
See you soon.
And then, without any further ado, back across the Atlantic to New York, Joe Landy. Hey.
Hello.
Wonderful to see you.
Good to see you too.
What you got for us today?
Well,
everybody says freedom.
Yeah. Now, for a couple of years, I've been singing a song called "The Torn Flag," which I heard on a Dan Byrne record, and I thought he wrote it. But I'm reading this book, and on page 233, there's the song. It's a Pete Seeger song, actually. It's called "The Torn Flag." I don't know if you're familiar with it. It starts
a long time ago.
A poet, he said, I had a poet uncle who once wrote, I have a rendezvous with death at midnight in some flaming town. And he says, I swiped that line and wrote a poem. Unfortunately, by the way, the person who wrote the I have a rendezvous with actually did die in World War I. He was prophesying his own demise. But P uses longer words. They don't exactly scan the way I sing it, but so I shorten a couple of words. How's the sound balance?
It's all right, but yeah, it's not bad. But if you turned off audio processing, it would sound. Oh, okay. Yeah.
At midnight in an angry, flaming town, saw my country's flag torn on the ground. I ran in and dodged among the crowd. I scooped it up, then I scampered out. Then I took that striped old piece of cloth, and I did my best to wipe the garbage off. But I found it had been used for wrapping lights. It stank, and it attracted all the flies. as I was busy, crazy at my task. I heard a husky voice that seemed to ask, do you think you can change it just a bit? Betsy Ross did good, but there is more to it. Blue is good, the color of the sky. And stars are good for ideals held so high. 7 bars of red to warn of danger. But those white stripes, well, they can use some changing. We also need some stars of deep, rich brown. Some of tan and black and all around. A border of God's green would look so good there. And slant those stripes so they don't look so square. Then I awoke. Oh, what a crazy story. Please don't tell them I was messing with Old Glory. But tonight at midnight in another town, I can see my country's flag torn and a lion on the ground. Police moved in the early morning dark, and they emptied people from Zuccotti Park. A movement, it is more than just one place. It is every story's pain in every face. I was pushed and peppered and knocked down. I fell upon a flag there on the ground. I left the park with that old piece of cloth, and I do my best to keep the garbage off.
Lovely. It's wonderful to hear a Pete Seeger song that I don't think I ever heard before. That's
Oh, cool.
great. I've seen it in print, and I don't think I've ever heard anybody sing it.
Well, thank you. That's
Yeah.
a great song. And you add another verse, and it brings it right up to speed.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Joel Landy, there in New York City, the epicenter of the epicenter.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, the curve is flattening here.
Mm-hmm.
This curve is not flattening here.
The guitar is still curved.
It goes one way and then it turns the other,
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Take care, Joel. See you soon, I hope. Next week, perhaps.
Yeah,
excellent. Joel Landy, and also a regular participant of the People's Music Network open mics. And then moving back across the Atlantic once again to Birmingham, England. Pam Bishop, are you in Birmingham?
I am in Birmingham, yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Great to have you here. And you haven't actually been in the open mic before, right? Last time I forgot to send you a link. Yeah.
No, I haven't been in it before, but one or two of my mates have, so yeah.
Yeah, like actually several people who are involved with the regular weekly Sing Political that you host every Wednesday, right?
No, it's not every Wednesday. It's normally we do it once a month, but at the moment we're doing it twice a month because it's very popular.
And if people want to find out more about that, they just look for Sing Political. Like on Twitter, it's just Sing Political. Is there
Sing
a website?
Political, yeah, there is. Right. And also there's a Facebook page for Sing Political.
Sing Political.
Yeah.
Go find it.
Yeah.
Wonderful. What you got for us, Pam?
Well, I was just going to say that during our sessions, we ask people to contribute songs, and we publish them. And I don't know if you can see. Here are, and you can't see, can you?
Let's see.
Behind me, there's some books.
Behind you.
Yeah, I'm moving the wrong way. I know.
I'm changing the shape of the screen, but it's, yeah, right. I know it's always that mirror effect. It always trips me up.
There's one of them anyway. We've done 7 of them,
Right.
Up till last year, and now we've just done 2 more, and we're going to do some more. We're collecting songs for that as well. People really like it, and they're pandemic songs, or that sort of thing. So.
Oh, great.
Right. So what I'm going to do is, you were talking about the news. What's in the news? Well, in England, until today, people were talking about whether the schools should go back on the 1st of June, which is like after half term. I don't know if you have half terms there, but after
spring
half
vacation.
term, then and of course it's not safe for children to go back to school, so they're trying to work out ways of it. But the union have got this great poster that says, "No going back until it's safe to do so." So that inspired me to write a song. So this is that's what I'm going to sing now, and it's got a chorus which is "No going back," so people at home can join in if they want. And my partner Graham is going to join me to help me. So I've just got to get the notes right. Okay. Now listen, all you workers, hear what the Tories say. We know you want to go to work, you need the pay, but they want their factories working so their profits start to rise. The unions say it isn't safe, so organise and there'll be no going back until we feel it's safe. No going back. Let's make a deal that's safe. No going back until it's really safe. No going back. Now listen, all you teachers, hear what the Tories say. We know that children need to mix and learn and play, but they want their children minded so they can run our lives. The unions say it isn't safe, so organise and there'll be no going back until it's safe. No going back. Let's make a deal that's safe. No going back until it's really safe. No going back. Now listen, all care workers, where is your PPE? The Tories ran the stocks down for austerity. They voted down their wages while they all have a rise, and now they sleep each Thursday while the nurses die. And there'll be no going back until we feel it's safe. No going back. Let's make a deal that's safe. No going back until it's really safe. No going back. Now listen, all you people, ignore those Tory lies. They only want their stocks and shares to rise and rise. Let's get rid of the old world and organise anew. And don't forget that we are many, they are few, so there'll be no going back until we feel it's safe. No going back. Let's make a deal that's safe. No going back until it's really safe. No going back.
Oh, fantastic. That is going to be a classic immediately. That's great.
The tune was written by, a song was written by my friend Sandra Kerr for during the miners' strike for the miners' wives group, and it was about women not going back to the situation they had before the strike, when they took a great part in the strike, and they said, we're not going back to the kitchens afterwards. So she wrote it for that, and such a great chorus. So
great
I
chorus,
used that.
And great verses. Yeah, really. Oh, excellent rewrite. Fantastic. Yeah.
Well, thanks for having me on, and maybe you'll come
so
to ours one Wednesday night, one of the Wednesdays.
Yeah, I keep on meaning to, and
I know you've got other things to do, but you'd be very welcome.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Take care, Pam.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Wonderful. And we'll move back across the Atlantic again. I wasn't planning it exactly like zigzagging across the Atlantic, but here we go to Minnesota now. Or no,
Yes,
is that
Minnesota.
yeah. I'm right. Okay. See, I'm going on memory here, but then I was wrong last time. I had you in the wrong state last time in my mind, but this time I remembered properly. Per, wonderful to see you.
Good to see you too.
What you got for us?
Well, I've gone through three
Whoops.
different times. No worries.
Sorry.
I changed my mind about 3 different times as to what I wanted to play. First, I had a Memorial Day song, and then I had a strike song, and then I realized I had this song, and I didn't practice it, and so we'll see how it goes.
Excellent.
I don't write a whole lot of directly ripped from the headlines songs, because by the time I get around to it, you've written a better one.
Oh.
So I tend to I take a lot of themes and sort of issues and imagine characters and sort of build up metaphors and use fiction. And anyway, this is called well, I guess since you're all not from Minnesota, here in Minnesota we're famous for wild rice. And we even have a lake in Minnesota called Rice Lake, which of course is too polluted and has been for years to grow wild rice. It's got lots of very expensive cabins on it. So, yeah, this song is called For All the Rice on Rice Lake, and I think it fits. Anyway. Goes out to the singers in the getting big bands. I hear your voices loudest of all. This one's for the sinners out there taking a stand in the safety gated courtyard to your hometown malls. This one's for the kids trying not to let it show. There's more to life than bleeding, man, believe me, I know. I hitched a ride north with some friends this past winter. God, I needed a change of the scene. Jenny was grinning, but she looked a lot thinner, and I worried about what that might mean. We crawled across that bridge through the howling blizzard, found the place 'cause she's some kind of GPS wizard. And there's no rice anymore on Rice Lake, where vacation home mansions grow. Just chemical runoff, genetic mistakes, gasoline trails running through the snow. The house had belonged to somebody's uncle till he died of something last summer. The chimneys, they whistled, the porch was buckled, but it sure beat sleeping under stars and in gutters. We settled in like the cold in my chest, found wine in the cellar aged well past its best. And there's no rice anymore on Rice Lake, where vacation home mansions grow. Just chemical runoff, genetic mistakes, gasoline trails running through the snow. Stayed until all of our food had run out, and we raided the manors next door. Bottles of rum and the old Christmas trout, we were burning the chairs to stay warm. If whoever owns the place comes back someday, tell them we traded all the rice left on Rice Lake to stay. There's no rice anymore on Rice Lake, where vacation home mansions grow. Just chemical runoff, genetic mistakes, gasoline trails running through the snow. And there's place anymore on Rice Lake, where vacation home mansions grow. Just chemical runoff, genetic mistakes, gasoline trails running through the snow. Damn it!
That was great. Why, damn it. That was brilliant. I love the idea of the mansions growing where the rice was. That's wonderful imagery.
No, the damn it is just I forgot all the chords.
Afraid of getting the chords. Yeah, well, I would never have known.
Oh, well.
Just don't tell people. I've done that so many times. Done a whole song with chords to a different song and thought, oh man, I'm just butchering this, but hopefully other people don't notice.
Yeah, I used to have a poker face, and then I went to school for theater, and I unlearned it. So
now
I just own it.
Right. Now your heart's on your sleeve all the time. Good. That's probably better.
But thank you.
Thank you, Per. See you again.
All right, take care.
Take care. And then, coming right up with no further ado, we're just going to go right to Mike Marker. Mike Marker. Oh, there you are. Hey. Wait. Oh, yeah.
There we are.
Volume. Yeah, excellent.
David, it's good to see you again.
Great to see you
again. Such a great
again.
time last week. And this morning I was just sort of thinking about, I've got so many things to do. And Lynn said, well, isn't the open mic on Monday? I wonder if they're still doing it. And so I checked my email, and there it was, an invitation to join in. And I'm so grateful to be able to be part of it. And I think it's a wonderful thing that you're doing. So I thought, because it's Memorial Day weekend and all, it's a Memorial Day, I thought, well, I'll do something, I mean, when I think of Memorial Day, I think of all these, cemeteries and crosses of soldiers that have fallen and veterans. It's kind of the flip side of Veterans Day. We celebrate the glories of these veterans on Veterans Day in November, and then we celebrate their death and all of the fallen on Memorial Day. And that's really what war is about. It's about death and destruction. But and so I was going to do Arthur McBride, which is a great Irish song about lads who resist being conscripted into the British Army. And it's a wonderful song, but it's long and it's very traditional. And then at the last minute, I've changed my mind. I grabbed my banjo and thought I would tell you a little story about a song that I wrote.
Wonderful.
And it's a song, it's one of my songs, and I ended up singing it for my mentor, and I suppose he was kind of a martinet to me. I always felt like I disappointed him, Bruce Utah Phillips, and so I was at Vancouver Folk Festival. I mean, this is the Memorial Day weekend that we have the Folklife Festival in Seattle. So it's all online now, and everything's gone online. And I ended up playing. I think I mentioned this to you. I ended up playing with Jim Page one year. Jim and I've known each other a bit over the years, and Jim and I we're on stage together to do the memorial for Utah Phillips at Folklife Festival. Bruce was we knew that his the end would be coming soon, and so we wanted to raise some money for his medical expenses, and so we did a concert together for Utah Phillips. And one of the things that Bruce taught me, he said, political songs, the ones that really get deep down into you, they're not about slogans and they're not about ideology. They're about people and they're about stories. So this is a story about my grandfather. I grew up in a union family, and the rule was never put down the union. So my cousins, some of them would go off and they'd come back to the farm and they'd complain to my grandpa. They'd say, oh, why do I pay union dues? And the union isn't doing anything for me. And my grandpa would say, don't ever let me hear you putting the union down. So I wrote this song, and it's a true story. During the Great Depression, which he said Frankie Roosevelt saved this country from a Bolshevik-style revolution. That was my grandpa's words. During the Great Depression, my grandpa joined the operating engineers, And he learned to drive a bulldozer, and he ended up helping to build the Grand Coulee Dam. And when the cousins would show up, he'd remind them, said, without a union, we wouldn't have anything. So as this pandemic consolidates the power in the hands of the bosses and takes it away from the workers, we must be vigilant that losing jobs and the scarcity of jobs, it's going to make workers tend to compete against each other, and what we really need to do is cooperate. So I sang the song for Phillips, and Bruce says, "Marker, I want that song. I need that song." So I made a quick recording of it when I got home and sent it to him, and he put it on his show, Loafer's Glory. It's called Grandpa Joined the Union. My grandpa joined the union when he was 33. Said it was just about the smartest thing he'd ever done. And now that he's an old man, he keeps on telling me about all the things the union finally won. Ah, but folks these days got a memory about as long as breakfast time. They don't know without a union they'd have an uphill climb. Now don't let me hear you putting the union down. Don't let me hear you putting the union down. 'Cause I never knew a boss to raise your pay where you think we get an 8-hour day. Don't let me hear you putting the union down. Grandpa leans the chair back, he takes a little time, and his thoughts go back to a long, long time ago. He thinks about a factory, thinks about a picket line. He remembers standing out in the snow. Ah, but folks these days got a memory about as long as breakfast time. They don't know without a union, oh, they'd have an uphill climb. Don't let me hear you putting the union down. No, don't let me hear you putting the union down. 'Cause I never knew a boss to raise your pay where you think we get an 8-hour day. Don't let me hear you putting the union down. Play it now. Are you so afraid of living that you think that you won't die? Or the dreams you dream for you and you alone? Do you sleep the sleep from memory in your cozy cotton fields, like that old boll weevil looking for a home? Now I can see the truth now, like a river back through time. And I can see without a union, we'd have an uphill climb. Sing it with me. Don't let me hear you putting the union down. Don't let me hear you putting the union down. 'Cause I never knew a boss to raise your pay where you think we get 8-hour day. Don't let me hear you putting the union down.
Fantastic. And if you don't have an 8-hour day, it's because you probably don't have a union.
There you are. That's it, man. Thanks, David.
Thank you so much.
I mean, I played that song on a number of picket lines, and you wouldn't believe the enthusiasm of people who are, they're struggling to try and keep the union together, trying to keep their spirits up. The weather's bad. They're out there, and I show up with a banjo, and I tell them, here's a song for all of you. Don't tell everybody. Don't let me hear you putting the union down.
Yeah, and all those people on the picket lines have heard other people telling them, you're just paying dues for nothing. Oh, the union's just going to get you fired and all this kind of stuff. Everybody hears it all the time.
That's it. That's it. Maybe I'll see you next week then, David.
Please come back next week. Yeah, that song is like, it feels like that was like the antidote for Ronald Reagan, that song, Well,
I tell you, Phillips just loved it. He thought that was a kick-ass song, and he needed it for his radio show, and he was just like, but the thing that I remember that Bruce Phillips tried to teach us, and you look at his legacy of songwriting, they're not about ideas, they're about people. They're about people who contain all of that history. They're about stories. They're telling you from the narrative of somebody who says, I worked all my life making somebody rich. I busted my ass for that son of a bitch. That was the way he wanted me to write songs. So he was a great teacher and a great mentor and a good friend, I think, although I know I disappointed him. He thought I was going to amount to something, and I dropped out of the trade. I couldn't stand the life of a touring musician. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You're at that same sort of level yourself, David. So
so many ways to contribute.
And you probably knew Bruce too.
I did.
At one point.
Yeah.
Did you meet him?
Utah. Yeah, on a number of occasions. Yeah, in his community radio station there, and where he had a show. I was. I saw him there, and at the School of the Americas protest, and
he was always talking about the trade, right? Remember that?
Well, one of the things that really struck me about him,
Bruce. So I think I probably disappointed him, but he was a great friend and mentor, and I learned a terrific amount from him. We did a number of festivals and things together, and I spent a lot of time at his house in Spokane on 14th Street.
Lovely, great.
Yeah, I'm a very fortunate young man.
Well, thanks so much for joining the open mic, Mike. Hope to see you next week. And are there any particular online activities that you're engaged in on a regular basis that people should know about?
Wow. There are some people in Sydney, Australia that are trying to set me up with some festivals and things of that sort. So I'll send you an email if I have any of the details about that. So the Aussies are not going to let this thing
you're talking about
shut down. No, they're not going to stop festivals. They're all going online, and they're trying to figure out how to pay musicians and how to get the folk festivals going to where people can be sitting maybe 6 feet apart somewhere and still having a pint and enjoying the fall in Australia. So they're in touch with me and trying to figure things out on how I will be contributing to that. But again, nobody loves a folk festival like the Australians.
Oh, yeah.
I'll keep in touch with you, Dave.
Huge culture for festivals there. Thanks so much, Mike. See you again.
Thank you.
Yeah, one of the things that struck me about Utah Phillips was that he actually used all this hobo terminology, that it wasn't an act, and I had no idea what he was talking about half the time he said anything. Now, crossing back to the other side of the Atlantic, we have a wonderful friend who I've known for many, many years, Tony Harper in Manchester.
Hi.
How are you?
Is my sound working all right? I've not live streamed stuff before, but everything.
No, it sounds really good. Good.
Good.
I mean, I hear my voice echoing, but people won't hear that in a few seconds, so it's okay.
Yeah, it's probably because I got you through a speaker.
No worries. Yeah, not bad considering. How are you holding up?
You've been doing lots of postering and stuff.
Yep, walking around putting up posters has been my main form of therapy, as well as sort of trying to do something useful. Educate the public, let them know there's a suspension on evictions. And, another world is possible.
Are people responding? Are you getting any?
A lot of positive response from.
You've got some councillors or something from Portland.
There's a couple of really good ones. Yeah. Looks like we might end up with a radical majority on the city council for the first time, which would be quite something.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I've been postering. Pam was talking about the teachers thing, and that's the poster.
Great.
So I've been slapping these up all over the place,
Excellent.
laminated ones, so they can get wet.
Excellent.
And that's on the 1st of June, so that's kind of like a key day for us. Like 1st of June's key for paying rent.
What's happening on the 1st of June?
The 1st of June, they're trying to put some of the kids back in school. So they're opening the reception classes, which is like the little ones, 4 years old, 5 years old, and the year sixes, which are the ones just about to leave primary school. And there's a lot of opposition to it. All the unions are against it. The doctors' union, the BMA, have signed a massive thing about it, opposition to it. Huge levels of opposition. So it's a big one. We could really kind of break them on, and a lot of councils have said that we're not going to open schools. Liverpool, they won't open a primary school in Liverpool on the 1st of June, and the government's telling them to do it. So it's conflict.
Yeah.
So it'd be a key one to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What you got? A song related to that?
I've written a couple of things about the pandemic, but the one I wrote was very early on, which was I was going to do, but I've actually written this today.
Great.
Pam was talking about Dominic Cummings, and I don't know whether you've read the news. This is the guy that actually runs the government.
Tell us a little about that, because I know I follow BBC a lot, but I'm not sure how much it's getting coverage here in the US.
The image is that Boris, he's the man who ran Boris's election campaign very successfully for the Tories. He's a kind of hard case, and he's obviously the main stirrer behind the government, the main mover and shaker in the government now. And Boris is the mouthpiece, really. I mean, the Tories are in absolute shambles. They're unbelievable. And he took this little excursion to Durham, which is 270 miles from London, having told everybody else to lock down, and everybody else is locking down, and you can't go and visit your kids if they're sick. You can't visit your elderly parents, like everything else. And most people have been doing that, Yeah. And he just takes a jaunt, and he's been on the radio tonight, talking for about half an hour, trying to explain it. Very calm. So he hasn't bottled it, and he's not looking like resigning.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
It's a bit like
he's
Trump.
Not even apologizing.
No, you just brazen it out. You just say, "Well, I did it, and I perhaps I shouldn't have done it, but I've done it." And it's that level of attitude, And people are pretty mad. So I've written a song about that.
Wonderful.
So it's called A Drive to Durham. I drove up to Durham, then I drove back. Met up with Boris, but I didn't get the sack. I'm better than the rest of you, I think you'll all agree. You're all stuck down in lockdown, and I'm out here fancy free. I'm the man that you see skulking, nearly out of view. Voted for by nobody, but favoured by the few. I'm the bully behind the science, so-called of herd immunity. Happy to sacrifice the old and keep those profits flowing free. So I drove up to Durham, then I drove back. Met up with Boris, but I didn't get the sack. I'm better than the rest of you, I think you'll all agree. 'Cause you're all stuck in your kitchens, and I'm out here fancy free. Some say I look like Gollum from the Tales of Middle-earth, but my lies and connivance got the Tories in there first. My wife, she got poorly, she edits a bourgeois rag. So we went off to Mummy's farm, and to the media we would blag. So I drove up to Durham, then I drove back. Met up there with Boris, but I still didn't get the sack. I'm better than the rest of you, I think you'll all agree. 'Cause you're stuck there in your bedrooms or whatever, and I'm out here fancy free. So I've now started a shitstorm, and it looks like hanging around. Perhaps I'd be better off hiding underground. You folks are getting angry, you really hate the toughs. And if you all get together, you're bound to see us off. So I wish I'd never been to Durham, then I'd never need to drive back. Could have carried on behind the scenes with no one looking back. With the workers come rising up, I think you must agree. You'd see the end of the Tories and form a new world fighting free. So I wish I'd never been to Durham, then I'd never need to drive back. Could have carried on behind the scenes with no one looking back. With the workers rising up, I think you must agree. You'd see the end of the Tories and a new world fighting free.
Yeah, wonderful.
How's that?
Excellent.
The fastest song I've ever written.
Yeah,
One day.
fantastic. Totally topical.
Yeah, well, otherwise it's got. I kept saying to Margaret, "He can't resign. He can't resign. I'm not putting my song out."
Oh yeah. Well, no, it's still.
You can do it
He can resign. Yeah. Now he can resign.
No, we need him to go. We need him to go. People
Oh,
were
my
chanting
God.
up and down
Yeah.
the streets last night. We do a clap for the care workers on Thursdays, and so people have initiated a sort of a boo for Johnson, and people just got out on Tuesday. Was it Tuesday? What day are we now? Monday? No, it was Sunday, yesterday, and just started shouting about Cummings that he has to go.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of strength about it.
Yeah.
Strength of feeling.
The future is unwritten. We'll see what comes next.
Indeed, yeah.
Thanks so much for joining us,
Anyway.
Tony.
No, great to see you, David, and take care, and wish your family well and everything well over your side, and hope to
you
see you
too.
soon when all this is over.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Hopefully soon.
take care and thanks again.
Take care, Tony. Thank you. Come back.
I will.
Tony Harper in Manchester, England. Fantastic organizer as well as songwriter. And then also he's also organized some of the best gigs I've ever done in England, incidentally. Coming back across the Atlantic to Western Massachusetts, another from Sing Political Network to the People's Music Network, Paul Kaplan. Wonderful to have you back.
Happy to be here. I really
Great.
appreciate you doing this.
It's a
Even
pleasure.
As a songwriter, it's great to have a weekly place to perform, and it just gets the songwriting juices going, which is really, really important for all of us, I think.
It helps, right? I find the same
really
thing.
does.
If I don't do concerts on the web, then I just never practice most of my material. So yeah,
Absolutely.
it's helpful. What you got for us today?
Well, I was trying to think of a Rent song, and the only one I could think of was Charlie Poole's "Moving Day," which I'm not going to do. It's it's a sort of a celebration of being evicted. It's a wonderful, funny, silly song, but I'm going to do what I planned, which is an older song, the title song of my 2003 album, "After the Fire," and the song was written on the first anniversary of 9/11, and it sort of projected a ray of hope, which we could all use at this time.
Hope is good
It was
stuff.
interesting because it was I wrote it as a metaphor about trees, a forest fire, and then, of course, that came true with Australia and California and all these
Hmm.
climate change fed conflagrations, and now our conflagration we're in right now. So it's hopefully it gives us a little kernel of hope. And so it's called After the Fire. Right? After the fire, the tears fell like rain, where tall trees had stood. There was nothing but pain, a forest of green was turned into ash. The world that we knew disappeared in a flash. After the fire, we gathered around, searching for signs of life on the ground. The earth looked so bare, as dead as can be, but something was there that nobody could see. Slowly a seed under our feet started to stir, woken up by the heat. It sent down a root to help it hold tight. It sent up a shoot to reach for the light. Seedlings will grow, trees will stand tall, though we'll always know how far they can fall. But nothing can kill the will to survive. After the fire, there is so much alive. Seedlings will grow, trees will stand tall, though we'll always know how far they can fall. But nothing can kill the will to survive. After the fire, there is so much alive. After the fire, there is so much alive.
Ah, gorgeous, gorgeous words, gorgeous melody. That's all yours? That's, yeah,
Yeah, the whole thing. Yeah.
beautiful.
And I've just actually recorded it with a large chorus. I want to put it on my next CD if I ever get into the studio to do that. But we arranged it for 4 parts, and it came out, I thought, pretty well.
4
So
parts.
look for
Yeah,
that.
I want to hear the 4-part
Yeah.
version. Excellent.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Paul. See you next week, I
You're
hope.
quite welcome. I hope so too. Okay. Take
Good.
care.
You too. And then staying in the northeast of the United States, we have Pat Lamana, a wonderful other guest who has appeared already a couple times, and we hope to have you back as well. What you got
Thank
for
you,
us
David.
today, Pat? How's it going?
Oh, pretty well, pretty well. I just want to say that I was at least one additional part with Paul as he was
Oh, great.
singing. I was singing
Yeah.
along. Such a harmonizable song and a beautiful
Yeah.
song.
So nice.
Yes. So I'm wondering if I could sing 2 really short songs that probably
yeah.
only come to 5 minutes together. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
One of them I learned because Kathy Miner from out in Wisconsin sent a
I know
link
Kathy.
to So, and she sent a link to the People's Music Network email list. You may have seen that. A link to this song by Stuart Stotts out in
I haven't seen
Wisconsin.
Kathy for 20 years, but yeah, I know what you're talking about. But, yeah, great.
So she sent this link to this song that
Great.
I really liked so much. So I thought that I would learn it, and I did. It's a simple little song, and I had sworn that I was not going to write any pandemic songs, but at 3 a.m, I just couldn't help it. It woke me up and sent me downstairs to write. So
Good.
so this is a very short little pandemic song. I'll just go right into that from this first one by Stuart Stotts. That's
Wonderful.
it's called Doing What Needs to Be Done, and there's a very charming video of this on YouTube if you want to look that up.
Wonderful.
So let's see if I can do this. A tip of the hat, a wish on a star, a blanket of gratitude right where you are. We're singing, clapping for everyone who's doing what needs to be done. Making deliveries, stocking the shelves, driving a van or a bus, showing up daily at risk to themselves, a gift for all of us. A tip of the hat, a wish on a star, a blanket of gratitude right where you are. We're singing, clapping for everyone who's doing what needs to be done. Everyone in the hospital halls with hard and dangerous tasks. Comfort the suffering, celebrate life, and test in gowns and masks. Everybody, a tip of the hat, a wish on a star, a blanket of gratitude right where you are. We're singing, clapping for everyone who's doing what needs to be done. Some may come from right next door, some from distant lands, to keep our country safe and secure. We need many hands. A tip of the hat, a wish on a star, a blanket of gratitude right where you are. We're singing, clapping for everyone who's doing what needs to be done. You may think you're not doing much, sheltered at home day by day, but you staying well helps everyone else. We're all connected that way. A tip of the hat, a wish on a star, a blanket of gratitude right where you are. We're singing, clapping for everyone who's doing what needs to be done. We're singing, clapping for everyone who's doing what needs to be done. And now I'll go right into the one that I wrote. When this is all over, how will we feel? Tell me, how will we feel? Humbled, grateful, we survived the ordeal. That's how I hope we will feel. When this is all over, what will we think? Tell me, what will we think? In Mother Nature's chain, we are each a precious link. That's what I hope we will think. We can count our blessings and go back to the old days, or we can start anew. We could learn a lesson and change our ways. It's up to will we know? You shall reap exactly what you sow. That's what I hope we will know. When this is all over, what will we do? Tell me, what will we do? You'll care for me, and I'll care for you. That's what I hope we will do. That's what I hope we will do.
Fabulous, Pat. Mutual aid will get us through, as I'm always saying too.
That's
Wonderful.
okay. More rhymes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank
And
you.
who
David.
wrote that first song again?
Stuart Stotts. He's out of Wisconsin. The only song that I know of that he wrote, but apparently he's quite a songwriter. There was Music in My Mother's House. That's a fairly well-known song. Beautiful song.
How do you spell his last name?
S for Sam, Totts.
Great.
Stuart, first name.
Thank you so much, Pat. Hope to see you
Thank
here
you,
again
David.
soon.
Good to see you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, great to see you.
Okay, take care.
And now I'm very excited to say that we are moving back across the Atlantic again to the host of another of my very favorite open mics from London, England, Archie Shuttler. Wonderful to have you here. How are you holding up? Let's see. Do you have your volume muted? Is there something muted? Let's see. Oh yeah, it looks like there now. Yep, there we go. Excellent.
Yeah, I'm very well, thanks.
How are you
And,
holding up?
It's lovely to be here. Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, yeah. Despite the obvious,
Great.
I'm fine. Yeah.
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 And are you doing any particular online activities? We got a 2-second delay here, by the way. But are you doing anything like with open mics and stuff like that?
Yeah, the open mic that you mentioned is now moved online. It doesn't have a catchy name. All the catchy names were taken. A friend is doing one called Open Microbe, which I thought was a brilliant fun. So mine's just called Archie's Shuttler's Online Open Mic.
Great.
And it's every Thursday. I don't know if that clashes with any other open mics that people...
Where can people find it?
So fortunately, my name is unique on Facebook, so everyone can see my name on the thumbnail thing, hopefully, Archie Shuttler. So just find me on Facebook, and I post it, post the link to it. I do it on Zoom. I hadn't heard of StreamYard. StreamYard is it's very professional compared to Zoom.
Cool.
Yeah, it is. Cool. But yeah. So we do it on Zoom, and I just put a link for that on my Facebook page. So if anyone wants to just add me on Facebook, they can find the link via that every Thursday.
Great.
8 p.m. English time. So I don't know what time that is in the various parts of the States, but yeah.
It's the annoying thing is that changes, depending on the times. Sometimes, usually, it's a 9-hour time difference between England and the west coast of the U.S., or an 8-hour time difference. But sometimes it's a 7-hour difference or a 9. I can't remember. But right now, I think it's an 8-hour and 5 hours between London and New York.
Yeah.
So that would be 3 p.m. in New York and noon here.
There we go. Thanks for that.
I think.
I'm having to find all kinds of work out all kinds of time zones at the moment, so I should be more on that. But because I can't make much money with music now, as I'm sure all the other musicians, including yourself, know, I've gone back to doing some English teaching online, and I've reverted to doing one-to-one classes just because it's easier with the time zones. Because before I was trying to do group classes, but it was trying to find a time when a student in Japan could do it, but also a student in Brazil. A bit of a nightmare.
Yes. Finding a good time that kind of works for actually the Americas, Europe, and Africa is not so hard, but then it's a terrible time for East Asia and Australia. There's no two ways, there's nothing convenient for everybody.
Exactly, yeah.
You got a song for us?
I do, and as luck would have it, it's kind of related to the two things we've been talking about: music and because it's a song, but also my profession as my other profession, and it's a song that I was commissioned to do by
Excellent.
the TEFL Workers Union.
Excellent.
And would you like to guess what TEFL stands for? TEFL? Or if anyone who's on the chat thing, would anyone like to?
I've seen that before, but no. What is that?
It's Teaching English as a Foreign Language.
There's a union for that.
There is
Excellent.
now. It's a very new union set up by some people in the IWW, who you obviously know about.
Yeah.
Given your album Ballad of a Wobbly.
I'm a member as well.
Yeah, of course. And so Tom from the IWW in London, even though he's actually American, you might know him, Tom Leventhal. Anyway, he's I met him at an English school, and I was in the staff room waffling on about someone had planned a lesson role play for the students about waiters interacting with customers. So I got on my high horse and started waffling on about how waiters started refusing tips in Barcelona during the Civil War. And Tom sort of clocked me as an anarchist and sort of tried to persuade me to join the IWW. And from that, at that time, there was no union in the TEFL industry. But now there is, and it's largely thanks to Tom and other people who he's got along. And so, yeah, it's a small unknown union, but the industry is actually, it's worth £2 billion in the UK. So it's, it's not a minor thing.
No. Wow.
And he commissioned me to write a song about the owner of Education First, who they do lots of different kinds of teaching, but they've also got a TEFL branch. And the guy who owns this, he's called Bertil Holt, and he's just like the most sort of comically evil person. Like you feel like there should be an accordion player following around going da 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 anywhere he goes, because he's just like that perfect stereotype of a billionaire. He's got like private jets and a fleet of yachts. And
I know a guy in New Orleans who actually, every time it's his birthday, he hires an accordion player to follow him around all day. And
there's someone who used to follow around Jeremy Hunt, the former health secretary. I don't know what his position is now.
Great.
Playing the tuba to similar comical effect.
Oh, wonderful.
But anyway, yeah, the song I'm going to do is about the owner of Education First, Bertil Holt. And I wrote it very recently, so I'm going to be reading the lyrics off my computer. So if I pause mid-song, that's me scrolling down. But here we go. Now, Boris Johnson doesn't work in TEFL, even though his middle name's Dupleffel. But were it the case, and were we choosing a place for the worst in the industry, our malevolent clown would be voted down. He wouldn't even make the top 3. There are lots of contenders, big earners, small spenders. There are more bad apples than good. But compared to some, our bumbling blonde bum is as virtuous as Robin Hood. After thorough inspection and rotten fruit rejection, we finally have a result. The name of the winner of this stool-studded dinner is a certain Bertil Holt. Now Bertie is a billionaire, not just once, but 6 times over. He didn't earn this by skill or pronunciation drill, nor the luck of a 4-leaf clover. No, it's at exploitation that Bertie tops the nation, from Carlisle right down to Dover. And when his workers are ill, they have to foot the bill. He's a rascal, I tell you, I know, sir. His expanding empire is called Education First, or sometimes EF for short. But it's profits first for Bertie. Oh yes, it's profits that he sought. His private jets run on the power of paying £7 an hour to his fleet of teachers online. And his fleet of yachts docked at various beauty spots show us Bertie's doing just fine. He's the EF at the heart of TEFL. He's the middle of the middle name Dupleffel. And we're effed off and we've effing had enough, so he better start to be careful. And now the virus has hit. It's affected the industry a little bit. Student numbers are down and less classes around, and EF's response has been shit. You'd think with the billions within his reach, Bertie could help his teachers with no one to teach, but he's invoking the powers of 0 hours, and this is the bit where I preach. Oh, Bertie is wrong, there's a union, the industrial workers of the world. There's a fly in his soup, EF redundancy support group, so join in, get the banner unfurled. He's the EF at the heart of TEFL. He's the middle of the middle name Dupleffel. We're effed off and we've effing had enough, so he better start to be careful. One more time. He's the EF at the heart of TEFL. He's the middle of the middle name Dupleffel. We're effed off and we've effing had enough, so he better start to be careful.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Excellent. That you could make anything rhyme with Tefl. That's just like trying to
Yeah, that was the challenge.
orange. It's like writing a song about oranges, you know.
Yeah.
Excellent. Brilliant. Love the chord changes too.
Oh, thank you. I can't take credit for that. It's one section from a Syd Barrett song, the founder of Pink Floyd.
Yeah, great.
The original song is called "Here I Go," and I just took the chords from the verse of that.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. Good. Thanks so much for joining us. Been hoping you would.
For inviting.
Yeah,
Would you mind
come
if
back.
I bring the rest of my band along next time? Because
Oh, I'd be thrilled.
Very good songwriters.
Oh, yes. And
Yeah.
and they can all do separate spots and everything. That'd be brilliant. Yeah, be wonderful.
Yeah, unfortunately, none of us live in the same house. So
Exactly, right? So, yeah, let's let's have them on, please.
Brilliant, cool.
Yeah.
All right, then.
Thanks
Thank
so
you
much. See you soon then.
Yep. Well, next week.
Excellent. Next week. Perfect.
Ciao, ciao.
Till then, bye-bye. Wonderful. And we will actually stay in the vicinity, perhaps in London itself, in fact, to North London, to the wonderful Bernard Puckett. Bernard.
Hello. I'm
There's
up
some
in
consistent
Enfield.
Enfield. And you're in the same room as last week.
Yes, yeah, it was the office.
Some consistency in life. Good.
No. Like I'm 12 miles from the centre, but inside the M25.
Yeah. But it's not part of the municipality of
yes,
London.
It is part of Greater London. Yeah, it is. Part
Okay.
Yeah.
You have the same mayor. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sort of, that's good. Okay.
Excellent. Yeah, what you got for us?
Give a plug for Trad to Mad. For
Trad
Isn't
to
a
Mad.
Folklore, which is
Trad
the
to Mad.
online singing competition for May. So and there's a money prize going. I'm going to sing a song which isn't about what it sounds it's about. But you'll get the general idea. It's an urban song which instantly appeals to lots of people, but sometimes the hero isn't the hero. Just looking for a place to park my car. I didn't want to walk too far. Back to you, back to you. Residence parking is a good idea, especially if you live round here as you do, as you do. I can't turn left and I can't turn right. The petrol's low and the jam is tight. What to do? What to do? Car stink, says a cardboard sign. I've a freshener that smells of pine. He must mean you. He must mean you. Praying that the lights will turn to green before some oik cleans my windscreen. Go away, please go away. I bought you chocolates and the flowers you like, but you've gone to the pub with a guy on a mountain bike. Boo-hoo-hoo, boo-hoo-hoo. Just looking for a place to park my car. I didn't want to walk too far away from you, away from you, away from you, away from you.
Gorgeous. Life in the real world. Beautiful. Thanks so
Thank
much for
you.
coming back, Bernard.
No, my pleasure.
And Trad to Mad, people need to enter Trad. Number 2, Mad, Islington Folk Club, look it up.
Yep.
There
and
it
all
is.
The terms and conditions are there, so to speak. Yeah. Go. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much, Bernard. And last but certainly not least, at least we had another couple of people, but I think that they had to go or something. But we have this wonderful person with a guitar who I've never met before. Wonderful, great to have you here. Did we meet? Were you here on? Did you? You weren't in the open mic so far, right? This is your first time.
No, I have not been
Excellent.
on the open mic so far. I found the post on Reddit.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, so here I am.
Excellent. I'm so glad you could join. I'm glad that somebody saw that post on Reddit too. Yeah.
Glad
Great.
you posted it. Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Where in the world are you?
So currently I am in Decatur, Georgia, just outside of Atlanta.
Ah, that's right. Okay, now I remember seeing. Yeah, I'm not looking at my notes. Yeah, and your name is Bergie. Yeah, is that
Bergie, yes.
Bergie with an exclamation point. Excellent.
Yeah.
Like now I can see it big enough to read it. But great. I need new glasses. What's happening in Decatur?
Oh boy, not much. I mean, Georgia's been kind of crazy. Especially
It gets in the news a lot, Georgia.
in the Atlanta area. Yeah, Governor Kemp has declared that all bars and clubs and music venues and whatnot can reopen at the end of May, which is kind of terrifying.
Given that
but
the pandemic is still really spreading in Georgia, right? But they're just kind of pretending it's not. Is that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's they're just kind of going about their business. Atlanta traffic is back, which is kind of mind-boggling. Like people are fully like going back out and going to work and stuff and going to the grocery store. The grocery store is full. People aren't wearing masks. Like some people are, but a lot of people just are not wearing masks or using any kind of protection. So it's scary going really anywhere. I'm grateful because I am out in Decatur in the burbs. So I've got plenty of space to like go for a walk around my neighborhood and not actually come into contact with anyone, which is really nice. And I've got a yard and stuff that I can go outside and hang out in. If I
Yeah.
were more in the city, I would not have that.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful to be out here. Also, rent is much cheaper.
Oh, is it? And is Eddie's Attic still there in Decatur? The legendary folk club?
Attic is still in Decatur. It's not open currently.
No.
But as you might imagine. But yeah, it's still there. I think the video that I sent you was me playing the Eddie's Attic open mic.
Great.
Back in the fall.
Great.
Yeah.
What you got for us today? And are you involved with any particular online activities that people could find out about? Because there's a lot of people who are interested in joining online open mics or watching concerts online since they're all stuck at home anyway.
So I'm not involved with any like organizations or anything right now. But I've
Or
been
anything that you do that you recommend?
Yeah, so I've got an Instagram. It's Bergie exclamation point, all spelled out, BERGIE exclamation point, the words. And I play music on there. I've been going live a bunch, and just playing some tunes. I'm currently
Right.
working. I've got one EP out that I put out in 2019. And you can find the Bandcamp link and stuff in my Instagram bio. And I'm currently working on another EP called "Don't Panic," which I'm trying to keep it all songs that I've written during quarantine, and the name comes from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams, which is one of my favorite book series of all time.
Me too.
And I think that message is very relevant right now.
Definitely.
I've been thinking a lot about like what I don't know, what do people need right now? And one person that comes to mind is Jim Carrey. He said something, I think it's in an interview in a documentary called Jim and Andy, but about like he discovered, when he was doing stand-up comedy when he was younger, like what do people need? What do they need when they go to a comedy show in order to have a good time? They need to not be afraid. So he was going to be the guy that made people unafraid by just being the most out there, crazy, wackadoo person they've ever seen. And I really dig that because like there's a lot of fear in this world, and I feel like a lot of our problems with greed and capitalism and fear of the unknown, fear of other people, the way we treat each other with hatred and stuff, it all just stems from fear. And I would like to make people a little less afraid, so don't panic.
Excellent.
Yeah. So I've got my electric right now. I don't know if is this mix okay? I don't know if there's any way you sing. Okay, this mix is good.
I think so.
All right, sweet.
From what I can hear so far.
My acoustic is it currently needs some work done on it, so I've got the electric today.
My acoustic needs work too, but I just keep on not praying. I think the shop is closed anyway.
Yep, I feel that. All right, cool. Well, I'm Bergie, and this is Don't Panic. We've been ignoring all our fumbles, and we very clearly pushed our luck. The cookie's finally crumbling. It's really just a clusterfuck. The bees no longer bumble in the amber waves of grain. Too many problems for my little brain to keep contained. I'm flashing back to reading Fever 1793, taking solace in that I live next door to the CDC. But Kemp wants to reopen and put everyone in danger. We've all got cabin fever now and things are getting stranger. My housemate started coughing in the room across the hall. Now I know that he can hear me masturbating through the wall. And even if coronavirus doesn't kill us all, we still might go insane. Don't panic. Don't panic, see, there's a great big hole up in the canopy, and we're accelerating rapidly. I think we're gonna land it. Don't panic, don't panic, don't panic. no stimulus in sight, and rent is due in 24. My Nana made me promise that I won't get into porn, but I don't think they have internet 6 feet beneath the ground. So would you help me pick a handle for my OnlyFans account? Woo! Florida just reopened their beaches. I'm stockpiling weed, beans, and leeches. The press says we should all inject bleach if you believe him. Good luck, don't panic, G. They can't stop us all from storming the hair cuttery. Oh, the world is going up in flames and Trump gets paid to fan it. Don't panic, don't panic, don't panic. Climate change, hunger pangs, murder hornets, UFOs, penny pinching, public lynching, kids in cages, so it goes. I'm about to give up, grab my towel, hitch a ride to the marble sanded beaches of San Traginus. Don't panic, G. Trump fired all the scientists with real degrees, and now I think it's about time that we evacuate the planet. Don't panic, don't panic, don't panic. Bring it on home now, don't panic, hey. 3 cheers for the economy, hip hip hooray, hip hip hooray, hip hip hooray. See, it doesn't sound so awful when the meter is I am big. Don't panic, don't panic, don't panic, don't panic.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Excellent advice from Decatur, Georgia.
Thank you.
Are you a fan of Kimya Dawson? Because that I'm reminded of some of her songwriting there.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
great.
Thank you.
Great.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Kimmy Dawson's awesome. Big fan of AJJ as well. Been listening to a lot of Jeff Rosenstock lately too. His new album, No Dream, is really, really good.
Wonderful. Great.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. Hope to see you again next week or some other Monday if you can make it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm here and I love to perform.
Excellent.
So would love to be back on here. And again, Instagram is Bergie ! All spelled out. Come check me out. I play tunes on there as well.
Excellent. Great. Thanks so much, Bergie.
Yeah, thanks for having me, David. Peace
Take
out.
care. See ya. And this, my friends, comrades, fellow workers, this concludes the 5th weekly pandemic open mic Monday. And the next one will be, as you suspected, next Monday and every Monday. And then always at the same time, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. GMT, noon Central. I mean, until the time changes, and then, but for now, that's the time that it's happening every Monday. As long as the pandemic lasts, as long as people are not cramming into little folk clubs to hear concerts, then I will not be making a living as a touring musician, and I will be in my living room until we get evicted or we win the rent strike or whatever is coming next. But as long as we got internet and a laptop, then I'll be hosting this open mic every Monday. And as of tomorrow, Tuesdays, I'm hosting a new show that we're calling Fifth Estate Live, which is, basically Tuesday through Friday every day. I'm interviewing people in an hour-long discussion show called Discussions with David. But the Tuesday episodes will be produced by Peter Werby, editor and founder of Fifth Estate and longtime Detroit area talk show host, who is going to be working with me to pick out the guests and stuff like that. And it's all going to be Fifth Estate contributors, including which I am as well. But every Tuesday and then Wednesday through Friday, interviewing various other folks of interest. And tomorrow I'll be talking to John Clark, who also has a fabulous article in the most recent Fifth Estate, and as well as on the blog of PM Press, which he is a published author on, which is not good grammar, but who cares? Anyway, I'm related to Webster, so I can't, I have to end my sentences with prepositional phrases just to piss off Mr. Webster. And what else? If you're interested in checking out some of the brilliant flyers, posters that Kalindi Jackson has been designing with my input in terms of the text, and then she makes them look good. It's really quite a wonderful collaboration, I think. And if you want to print out some free, cool rent strike posters, go to artistsforrentcontrol.org, which I've just been working on lately to get it in shape, me and Kalindi. And you can print out posters and put them up around. Near the end of the month when rent is due is the best time to give a little moral support to all the renters out there and put up some nice posters on the telephone poles and share them online and in whatever other forums. And if you want to make a donation for me to print out lots more posters and banners and all sorts of other things, jail support, it's all there and very much welcome. And you can also find me and posters and other things at patreon.com/David Rovix. And then if you want to sign up for another open mic, you'll find the sign up and other open mic activities going on at, well, actually, that's not it. It's davidrovix.com/POMM Pandemic Open Mic Mondays. And we are, as you may or may not know, broadcasting on KBOO Community Radio's Facebook page, as well as the Facebook page of Popular Resistance. And you can find all of these open mics and my interviews archived on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/DRovix, in the Discussions with David playlist, and also in podcast form if you look for This Week with David Rovix on any podcasting platform. All right, that's it, and hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have, and hope to, if you know anybody, or if you or anybody you know wants to sign up for the next open mic, then go to davidrovix.com/POMM and sign up for next week. It would be great to have you in the open mic next week. And if you did sign up and got bumped out of the, got told that the queue was full, then I'm sorry about that, but usually it's not full. So try again, please. And next week. And I hope to see you all again in cyberspace. Usually I say, my automatic sign-off line for anything is to say, I'll see you on the road and in the streets, but I don't know if I'll see you on the road or in the streets, but hopefully in the streets. I mean, hopefully not. Hopefully, but we'll see. We're going to need to get out in the streets soon because there's going to be waves of evictions happening. So pandemic or not, I'll see you in the streets if the U.S. government continues to be as totally incapable and kleptocratic as it is. But maybe it'll get its shit together and I won't see you in the streets. There's always that possibility. I'm not holding my breath. But take care, everybody. Stay strong. Don't pay the rent. Mutual aid will get us through. Bye-bye for now.